Hey, what's up, family? Listen, we're going to talk about something that people rarely talk about, but it happens to each and every one of us. Okay, some more than others. Some people get stuck. Some people just come right through. But this is a topic that I think is very important, especially with the series I'm doing called Starting Over in Your 40s. All right. So for a lot of people, that's a scary thought. Some people have given up by this point. Some people, unfortunately, are not here to even give it a chance. So if you're watching this video, then, hey, you got life in your body and it's not over. All right. So what I want to talk about is something that I wrote about in my book. Okay. And this is directly from my book. It's called No Time Wasted. What an aptly titled book, considering everything that I'm talking about in this series. And hopefully this helps you guys that are my age or older kind of just redefine yourself, right? So other people have defined you, other people have labeled you, put you in a box and said, oh, this is who you are, this is what you can do. And sometimes people accept those limitations that other people put on them. But we ain't doing that over here, all right? Timm Unlimited, that's the name of this channel for a reason, because I believe I'm unlimited and I'm hoping to encourage you to be the same way. Now, chapter 12, I talk about rejection and resilience. In this particular story, I was talking about how when I was a young guy, I started my own record label. Music is near and dear to my heart, so if you don't know, you better ask somebody, right? But a lot of my music is right on the channel. But nonetheless, I started out with a dream and a vision, and definitely made a lot of progress. I mean, a lot, from a guy who was living in Williamstown, New Jersey. Okay, so I was born in Detroit, moved to Jersey, and I always had this love for music. So one day, things happened. I got some music production. Back in the day, we used workstations. So I got a workstation, and at that point, I wasn't trying to be out front, trying to be singing and rapping and nothing like that. But I recognized talent, so I always had an eye and an ear for talented people. So it was two guys, one of which is still a good friend of me today. But they used to have battles. This is ciphers. Back in the day when you actually had to be MC, you had to know how to rap. Okay. I don't know what they're doing today. You know what I'm saying? If you ask them to freestyle, they're going to pull out their phone and they're going to start reading you some lyrics. Okay. So no, this was when you had to come off the dome. You was sharp and you had to do it in front of a whole bunch of people. Now, again, I wasn't ready to do all that. But those two guys, and this was such a unique thing that happened. It turned out, and we're going to get to the rejection. So, settle in. But those two guys, I thought that they were like rivals. And in a way they were competing, but at the same time they were friends. So it was kind of great. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to take just one of them. How about if I put them together, because they're both dope in their own ways. They both offer something great of value to hip hop. And I'm going to start my own record label. Okay. So this is a time where you had Death Row Records. You had Bad Boy Entertainment. And I said, you know what? It's about to be Timm Nighttime Entertainment. And so I took that, no idea what I'm doing. Okay. What I did know, I could make beats and I had a good head on my shoulders. So from that, I said I need to organize this as a real business. And that's ultimately what I did do. And I'll get into that more later as we go, because I have so many stories dealing with the music business and the music industry from an independent standpoint. But I'll tell you this part right now. From my basement, I was able to set up label meetings. MCA Records, Epic Records, Raucous Records, Universal, Palace Records, all these record labels, I'm setting appointments from my basement at 18 years old. Okay. So I was hustling, so in my mind, I'm bound for success. And then we built a name locally for sure. And then we connected with another young brother who was doing the thing, and we'll get into all that. The point of this particular video is dealing with rejection. Right? Going to the labels. Here, I remember one thing, I'll never forget it. I think we were at Palace Records. And they were the home of the group Crucial Conflict. Crucial Conflict, and it was with Universal, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he was vibing, listening to it. Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds good. At the end of it, he's like, yeah, it didn't blow me out my seat. I was like, you know how many records is out here that's not blowing me out my seat that's still on? If I could have pushed through his, out the seat, that would have been, fair in my estimation. But the bottom line is that we all face rejection. So, I have put so much time, energy. I've been to LA 4 times, ASCAP Music Expo, connected with so many people, so many false starts, so many this, so many that. And boom, the door would never open. So that's what I talk about in this book, No Time Wasted. Okay. So I go more in depth in this book, but the point is that what do you do, right? When you have faced, resistance your whole career when you're trying to pursue something. Now, this really kind of pertains to people that's actually actively trying to do something. Some folks just ain't doing nothing. They just living, going to work, getting their paycheck, coming home, and that's, they good, right? But for those of you who actually aspire to do something and be something more than you've ever been, right? That hits kind of different, right? When people are rejecting your work. But the key thing to keep in mind is that they're not rejecting you, right? This is just the work that you're producing into their, in their mindset, it may not be what they're looking for. But then I had to take a deeper, more introspective look into why the rejection was taking place in the first place. You coin the same phrase. The reason is I didn't fit within those parameters, right? Some people, you have that light about you, right? Some people, you're not called into darkness. I'm not getting too super, spiritual with you guys. But if I think back on it, imagine if I did connect with people like Diddy and all these folks, then likely, it's very highly likely I'd also have to be like that type of person to fit in, right? So how can light fellowship with darkness? Not that I'm perfect or, don't have my own issues going on. But the bottom line is there's the levels that we hear that they allegedly crossed. Those lines would never work. I don't want to be famous that bad, right? I'm not willing to compromise who I am and what I stand for money, for temporary fame or fortune, which is not even guaranteed because most of these people in the music business are broke. Okay. The one good thing, I guess, it does get your name out there, but at the same time, at the cost and the sacrifice that so many people have had to endure, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? So the point of all this, I'm not going to keep this video too long, is that sometimes when you're rejected, you have to really look at it. Did I really fit into that space? You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to do whatever it is to get into that space? So rejection is also a form of protection, right? Because who's to say that you get into a room? Let's say, again, I got into that room. Who would have said I was strong enough or had the willpower or the intestinal fortitude to be able to forego an opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to further my career at the stake of my soul? So I talk about this some more in my book. So that's what this is about. No time wasted. You can go to my website, timm9unlimited.com. I'm going to be doing some limited editions where I'm actually signing it myself. So you get a personal autograph version of this book, but it's on Amazon. So support, a creative, a fellow person like you, a regular person. That's what we don't do enough, right? So people support these celebrities and people you don't know, and you don't know their lifestyles and what they're all about and what they actually do to get this fame and fortune. But you won't spend a dime with average everyday people like myself to support the vision and keep moving forward. But that's what this is about. So this is actually a workbook. So yes, it's good to read and all that type of stuff. But right in this book, I have it to where you can jot down and write an action plan. Because knowledge without action, it's a waste of time. So I actually want people to do something with the information. And this book allows you to do just that. So I'll be back with more. So this is part 2 of many, many more conversations we're going to have together. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Peace and blessings.